Hi, everybody. This is Gigi Durant from Kauai Community College. Today in this video, we will be talking about multiplication, but we are talking about multiplication in bases other than 10. All right, so let's get started. All right, here we go, multiplication. Before we start doing the actual problems in multiplication, what we need to do is to be able to complete this multiplication table so that we can use it as a reference. Now, do you have to do a multiplication table every time? The answer is no. But if you have it, it will be good, right? Just like in grade school where people tell you, your teachers would tell you, oh, you got to know your multiplication table, because those are basic facts in order to solve more complicated problems. Okay, so in base 4, let's remind ourselves that the numerals are 0, 1, 2, and 3, and that's it. 1 more than 3 is going to make a full group of 4, which would move to the next place value. Okay, so and then when we talk about multiplication, we know that anything multiplied to 1 will stay by the same, and anything multiplied to 0 would be 0. So we already have a bunch of these numbers that we can fill in, right? Multiplying by 1, and there you go. So really all you gotta think about are just really 3 problems. Not 4, because 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Okay, so the first we want to think about is 2 times 2. By definition, we would say that is 2 groups of 2. And as we can see, 2 groups of 2 make 1 full group of 4. That would be 1 full group of 4, and no single, so that would be 1, 0. Okay, 2 times 3, 3 times 2 would be the same, because we know multiplication is commutative. So it doesn't matter which order you list them as. So I'm going to go ahead and list them as 3 groups of 2. Okay, so 3 groups of 2 right there. 3 groups of 2 make 1 full group of 4. And 2 singles. So that would be 1, 2. So 2 times 3, 3 times 2, they are both 1, 2 in base 4. All right, the last one we want to look at is 3 times 3. That is 3 groups of 3. There you go, 3 groups of 3. We are in base 4, so we're going to go ahead and say here is 1 full group of 4. Here's another full group of 4. That will make 2 groups of 4 and 1 single. So 3 times 3 is 2, 1 in base 4. All right, you want to take a snapshot of that before we move on so we can reference that. Okay, so suppose you have 3, 2 multiplied by 2, 3 in base 4. Not 32, but 3, 2 in base 4 and 2, 3 in base 4. Okay, I'm going to show you 2 different ways. First is the area model. Multiplication of 2 numbers can be thought of the area of a rectangle, like length times width, right? So we have a rectangle like that. And we know that the number 3, 2 in any base is the same as 3 in the second place value with 0 as the holder. So that would be 3, 0 plus 2 in the first place value. Okay. And then 3, 2 would be 2, 0 plus 3. So In this area, we would say the area of the large rectangle is the answer to our multiplication problem. And that also is the same as the sum of the 4 smaller area. So we're going to go and multiply 2 groups of 3. So remember from the multiplication table, that would be 1, 2. And then you have 0, 0. So that would be 1, 2, 0, 0 in that particular small part of that rectangle. And then 2, 0 times 2. Okay, 2, 0 times 2. Well, we know 2 times 2 is 1, 0. Plus the 0 as a placeholder there, that would be 1, 0, 0. Okay, then the answer to the third box there is 3 times 3, and it will end with 1, 0. And 3 times 3 is 2, 1, so the answer would be 2, 1, 0 for that box. And then 3 times 2 we know is 1, 2. So the area of the rectangle, which is the product that we're looking for, is the sum of all these smaller rectangles. And that will give us 2, 1, 2, 2 in base 4. Now that's how the area model works. I will show you also the traditional multiplication method, and you decide what you like better. Okay, so here we go. So we have 3 times 2, and let's just remind ourselves here in base 4 that 2 times 3 is 1, 2, and 3 times 3 is 2, 1 from the multiplication table. And that's why we needed that multiplication table before we started the problem, okay? So 3 times 2 is 1, 2. So we will write a 2 right here, and we will regroup the 1 up in the second place value, right? Remember that right there. And then we have 3 times 3, which is 2, 1, plus 1 more is 2, 2. And that's how we multiply in the traditional way, yeah? And then in order, when you move to the next second place value, we'll place a 0 as a placeholder there. 2 times 2 is 1, 0, so we'll write 0, and then again put the 1 there as our regrouping. And then 2 times 3 is 1, 2, plus 1 more is 1, 3. And then we will add these together. Okay, so 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. And remember, we are in base 4. So 3 will need 1 to make a group of 4. Okay, so that would be 1, 1. 3 plus 2 is 1, 1. So we'll write 1 here and regroup the 1 to the next place value. And 1 plus 1 is 2. So same answer, different method. And I kind of like the area method so that it's nice and clean and I don't need to regroup the numbers, and it's kind of getting a little bit messy, right? And you really do see how the math work in the area model instead of the shortcut of the traditional method. But up to you. You decide what works for you. Okay, so suppose we are in base 8. Okay. And I love the area model, and it's probably new to you, so I'm going to show you the area model one more time. 5, 2, 6 in base 8 is 5, 0, 0 plus 2, 0 plus 6. 3, 4 in base 8 is the same as 3, 0 plus 4. Okay. Now we are in base 8. So remember, the numerals would be from 0 to 7. Yeah. And let's do this multiplication here. The first box you have, whatever the answer is, will end with 3 zeros. And then 3 times 5. So I'm going to put a scratch paper box right there. 3 times 5 can be thought of 3 groups of 5. So I have 5 plus 5 plus 5. And notice I don't draw the dots because that's a lot of dots, right? We can use our base 10 numerals here to think about. So this 5 right here is going to need 3 more to make a full group of 8. So I'm going to take that from here, and there are 2 left. So here I have 1 full group of 8. That would be 1 and 7 singles. So 1, 7. Therefore, 3 0 times 5 0 0 will be 1 7 with 3 zeros at the end. Okay. And then next I have 3 0 times 2 0. It will end with 2 zeros, and 3 times 2 is still 6 and base 8. That's still a good number to write. And then the next one is going to end with a 0, but I need to know what 3 times 6 is in base 8. So I'm going to think about 3 times 6 as 3 groups of 6. And as we can see here, this 6 is going to need a 2 to make a complete set of 8. This 6 is going to need a 2 to make a complete set of 8. And I will take those out of this 6 right here. So there is 2 left there. Okay. So then 1 full group of 8, 2 full groups of 8, that would be 2, and then 2 singles, so 2, 2. Therefore, 3 0 times 6 would be 2 2 0. All right, in the fourth box right there, I will have 4 times 5 0 0. Well, it's going to end with 2 zeros, and I need to think about what 4 groups of 5 is in base 8. Okay, so this one right here is going to need a 3 to get to a full group of 8, and I'm going to take that out of here, so there's 2 left. This 5 right here is going to need a 3 to make a full group of 8, so I'm going to take that out of there, so there's a 2 left. Therefore, I have 2 groups of 8 and 4 singles, so that would be 2, 4. Therefore, we have 2 4 0 0 in that box. Okay, and then the next one, 4 times 2 is 1 full group of 8, right? That's 2 groups of 4. That's a full group of 8. So you will have 1 0, and then the 0 as a placeholder. So that's 1 0 0. And the next one I'm going to need a scratch paper for. It would be 4 groups of 6. So I know that this is going to need a 2, this is going to need a 2, and this is going to need a 2, and that will take all of this 6. So that would be 3 full groups of 8, and 3 full groups of 8 with no single would be written as 3 0. So 4 times 6 is 3 0. Okay, so what are we going to do with all of these numbers here in this box? We will go ahead and add them, because we say the product that we're looking for is the sum of all of the smaller rectangles. And when we add them up, we would have 0 right here. And then in the second place value, 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, and remember we are in base 8. We're in base 8, so we're making groups of 8. So here I have a group of 8 with move up to the next place value. And then I have 5 singles left. Again, we are adding in base 8, so we'll make groups of 8. Here's one group of 8 that's going to go to the next place value. And I have 2 singles right here. And then 1 plus 1 is 2 in base 8. Okay, so we would say now 526 multiplied by 34 in base 8 is equal to 22550, as you can see there. Okay. That is it for today.